Tall Timber is well animated, but the narrative's just a little bit all over the place, and honestly, I didn't think it was that funny or entertaining. It's definitely not, well, it's not a quality Oswald the Lucky Rabbit cartoon, but I also feel like it's not a typical Oswald cartoon either. Usually, they have a much better structure, there's a lot more visual humour in them. This is definitely quite atypical. This was released in 1928, directed by Walt Disney. And I'm going to read the description from IMDb, which is just one sentence and I think sums up how chaotic the narrative is, and I use the word loosely. This says Oswald struggles with clever ducks, rolling boulders, and bears in his encounter with nature. So I guess they've tried to keep the nature in as the overarching theme, but it just doesn't really seem to flow very well to me. Everything seems forced. It started off really well. There's this great bit of animation where he's in I think a canoe, and he's, floating along the water and weaving in and out of rocks, and it's really great. And then there's this bird that comes along, a duck, and interacts with the gun, not in a way you might expect, and visually it was great, and I thought this is getting off to a really solid start. And then the whole boulder aspect kicked in, and I thought this feels like two separate cartoons, and then it continued on that trajectory, and I just didn't enjoy it. As I said, it is well animated. I will give it credit where it's definitely due. But in terms of the narrative itself, it's just a bit of a mess. It's kind of like they had various animators with different ideas and they couldn't formulate them into a full 6 or 8 minute narrative, so they decided to kind of push them all together under the umbrella of nature. Which, I mean, is not the worst thing in the world, but for me personally, I didn't find it engaging, I didn't find it entertaining. And that's a shame because a lot of Oswald cartoons are really brilliant and really, really well done with really well structured narratives, and they're funny and they're charming. And apart from, the actual animation quality itself, there just really wasn't anything about Tall Timber that I thought worked very well. So definitely not one for me. Not one. I mean, I'd recommend it if you're a fan of Oswald and you haven't seen it. By all means, you might like bits of it. But if you've never seen Oswald before, it is absolutely not the first one I would recommend. There are quite a few I'd recommend before this one. Tall Timber, needless to say, not a personal favourite.